Hi, my name is Wendy Hayden, and we're going to talk today about constipation and gut bacteria. So we work really hard to keep our families safe and healthy by wiping surfaces, using Lysol, using Clorox wipes, hand sanitizers, all of these things, giving our kids antibiotics if they get sick, all of these things that we've been taught that we need to do to keep our family healthy and safe. Unfortunately, using these things also kills off good bacteria that we need to be able to do things like digest our food, and to our bacteria actually is a communication system, and it does amazing things within our bodies, and we need that good bacteria to be able to do all those things. So when we're killing off that good bacteria and the bad bacteria, our body isn't able to do things that it needs to do, like have a normal bowel movement. So certain things that can start off, IV antibiotics triggered a lot of my son's problems because he contracted salmonella and ended up very sick and dehydrated as an infant at 16 months old, and he ended up in the hospital and he was put on IV antibiotics, and it was one of the things that triggered a lot of our problems. I was a C-section baby, so I did not get the benefit of my mom's good bacteria. Babies get that when they're coming through the birth canal. And so the first bacteria that I was exposed to as an infant was the bacteria of the hospital instead of the bacteria of my mom. Breastfeeding can give your baby lots of good bacteria. So if your baby is formula fed, they're not getting the benefit of that good bacteria that they would get from your breast milk. So there's so many things that can compromise our microbiome, and it's really important to work on improving our microbiome in general, but especially if we're dealing with gut situations such as constipation, or my husband's got Crohn's disease. We work on gut bacteria a lot. If you have a child that has autism, then their gut bacteria is often very compromised, and can lead to issues like constipation. So it feels overwhelming to try to figure out how you're going to improve gut bacteria. And the first thing that you'll reach for is going to be a probiotic. And probiotics definitely have a place. They are really good when you have, been on an antibiotic, or you're having some kind of a critical short-term issue. Probiotics are really good. But you get a probiotic like this, which is a fine probiotic. It's a shelf-stable probiotic. It says it's got 40 billion bacteria in it, which sounds great. The thing is, it's only got 3 strains of bacteria. So if you exclusively took this one probiotic, and you took it for months at a time, what's going to happen is those 3 strains of bacteria are just going to continually replicate themselves, and you're going to end up having an overgrowth of those strains of bacteria in your gut. Now, if you don't have any good bacteria and you just have a lot of bad bacteria, having replications of 3 good strains is a lot better than having no good bacteria, but it's still not ideal. So getting a higher quality probiotic. So my husband, like I said, he's got Crohn's, and we get this probiotic. And you can see here, it comes in this box. We just got a new shipment of it. The box of probiotics is in this. This is a special high potency probiotic called Visbiome. And my husband does not have a large intestine, so it makes it very difficult for him to be able to maintain his gut bacteria. So this is shipped in a cooler. It comes with a pack of ice, and it comes with this temperature monitor to show you if it has been compromised and the bacteria inside the probiotics have been killed off. With a temperature monitor, so like if you're getting it in the middle of the summer and you get it and it feels warm inside, you want to know, has it been compromised? Have the bacteria been killed off? So this is an excellent probiotic for people that have IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, things like that. It has 112 billion bacteria per capsule, whereas we said that other one had had 40 billion. Was it 40 billion? Yes, 40 billion CFU, and this is 112 billion per capsule. And this also has a lot more strains. I believe it has 13 different strains, and the strains are specific strains for gut issues. So I use this a lot. Like I said, my husband does take this, but we don't just rely on a probiotic. So one of the things that I do with this is I'll use this as a starter in my ferments. And that way you're stretching, because this is very expensive, about $70 I think for a bottle of it, but you can see when they're sending it, you know, the difference between, you know, I think $15 or something and 70, you know, you can see some of the difference of it is the way it's shipped. And so that is something to consider, is, you know, that that this is going to have active live bacteria. So this is good, and I don't have anything against a really good high quality probiotic. I will put a link to this in the description, so that you can check this out yourself if this is something you're interested in. And we have used this on and off. There's a lot of research behind it. Made by the same people that were making VSL, and VSL my husband was on for an extended period of time, but they changed the formulation, and this is the original formulation, and we've had really good success with this. But we try not to just rely on probiotics, because you're still getting millions of replications of those limited strains, and these are specific strains that work really well for gut issues, especially things like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, which he has, but it is not necessarily going to completely solve the problem of having gut issues from poor gut bacteria. So one of the things I do is I make a lot of ferments. When fermented food is the way food used to be stored, things were fermented. You had, you know, this is a fermented salsa, super easy to make. I have a recipe for it on my website. I will link to that below. Cultured butter is another option, fermented lemonades. So there's lots of things that you can do that are ferments that aren't kimchi and really strong flavored things. I know, as someone who has a child that is super picky, it was hard to get certain things in him. But I found, especially, like, we called it Probiotic Lemonade, he loved that. And you could use that as a starter. If you have a child who's really resistant to trying new foods, my book, Dash is a New Fooder, I wrote that because I had so many children that didn't want to try new foods. And I also have a cookbook, Constipation, Relief, and Gut Healing Cookbook, and I have a lot of recipes for ferments inside this cookbook, plus along with other recipes like poop candy to help go. Here's some fermented carrots. I've got fermented pickles. This is made with apple cider vinegar, which is a ferment. So all that stuff is great. And, you know, 100 years ago, when you didn't have refrigeration in the same way we do now, food was fermented. It was one of the ways to be able to preserve foods long term. And so we had a lot better bacteria. And we have things now like our crops are being sprayed with glyphosate. So our food, the soil has glyphosate in it, and glyphosate works basically as an antibacterial, and it goes in and it kills off the bacteria in the soil. And so when you're eating that food, you're not getting that benefit. So if you can grow your own food, that's great. And I know it's not always practical, but even if it's something as small as growing herbs in a planter on your porch or your balcony, or in a window, you know, that can be really good. And if you have a child who is resistant to trying things, sometimes they'll try something like cherry tomatoes. If you can grow those, you know, and just let them eat them off the vine, as long as they're organic and they haven't been sprayed with anything, you don't even need to wash them. My sons eat berries off the bush. We have 8.5 acres here with my in-laws. My father-in-law grows our garden, an organic garden. So we use compost from our chickens and our ducks, and all of the trimmings and things like that from around us. That's what he uses for fertilizer, and so we don't use any chemicals. And if you're making a ferment, this is going to sound strange, but if you have it inside an air-conditioned house, it's going to get the bacteria from the air. But if you take it outside, you're going to get the benefit of bacteria from different places. So you can even take your ferments with you and take it to different locations, and your ferment is going to end up having different bacteria than it had if it was just in your air-conditioned house. And because we live in an air-conditioned house, and then we go to our air-conditioned cars and our air-conditioned office and our air-conditioned schools, and so we're just not getting the benefit of our bacteria. So probiotics are an option, fermented foods are an option, but some of it is getting out into nature and breathing different types of air. So if you're in a critical place, my husband has a lot of surgical damage that we deal with. He'll be doing really well, and then we kind of take a couple steps back. And a lot of times what we do when we start to feel like we're taking a couple steps back, we'll go out, take the boat on the lake, or we'll go down to the ocean. The ocean's just filled with good bacteria in the air. You can feel it when you're there, and we can see a turnaround with him when we do that. Go out to national forests, state parks, go hiking, anything like that where you're getting exposed to different types of bacteria in the air, because you're breathing in bacteria. You think of bacteria as just mostly things, that's on your hands or that, it's in your gut, but most of the bacteria is coming in through your mouth and your nose as you're breathing that in. So going to different biomes, if you can go to the desert, you go to the mountains, you go to the ocean, going to different places is a great way to get different bacteria into your system. And it's a really easy, fun way to do it. So, if you're having some struggles, that's something to think about as well. I hope all that's been good information and helpful to you. If you are looking for a probiotic, I would look for something refrigerated. I would look for something that has as many different strains as possible. And after you've been using that probiotic for a period of time, you want to rotate through. So you're going to, after each bottle, try a different probiotic that has different strains. And what you're going to notice as you start looking at the strains is a lot of probiotics have the same strain repeated. This probiotic will carry this lactobacillus, whatever, and then you look and you'll find, the top 5 probiotics that you look at all have that same strain of bacteria. So it is good to look like this one. You can see on the box, it'll tell you what the strains are that are in it, and the species and genus of those strains. So it's good to rotate every time you finish up a round of or a bottle of probiotics to try another type to keep moving through. And then, like I said, adding fermented foods, sourdough bread. You can make your own starter, fermented lemonade, cultured butter. There's all sorts of different ferments that people just think of sauerkraut and kimchi, but there's so many different ones, and there's lots that are really kid friendly. So you want to just keep working on gut bacteria, and this isn't something that you just work on and you take a round of probiotics and you move on your way. It's something that, because our environment has so many things that are constantly killing off our gut bacteria, you're going to want to continuously work on this for your family. You're going to want to continuously make fermented foods and drinks. You're going to be continuously trying to expose your family to different environments with different strains of bacteria in the air. And the more you do that, the stronger their immune system is going to be, the healthier they're going to be, and you're also going to find that you're going to have less constipation, less diarrhea, less of those kinds of gut issues, because the bacteria do a lot of work on our body. They have a huge communication system, and they're doing things that you don't have any idea of. So I have lots more videos coming out, and I have a lot of videos on my channel. If you subscribe on YouTube and then you click that little bell, they will notify you when I publish a new video. So if this information's been helpful to you, which I really hope it has been, then and you want to learn more, then please subscribe, click that little bell, and YouTube will send you notifications when there's new videos about different things. And we talk about things that'll help you would have a bowel movement really quickly, and we talk about things such as causes of constipation. So what the root cause is of constipation, and things that you might not have realized could cause constipation. And once you realize it and you work on those things, then you don't need laxatives anymore. You don't need magnesium anymore, because you've worked on your gut bacteria, you've improved tone if you've got pelvic issues or motility issues, worked on healing your gut, worked on thyroid, worked on all these different things that can contribute to constipation issues. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I hope you find a lot of relief soon.